Step number 1. Pick the correct ab exercise. While it might seem like it doesn't really matter what kind of ab exercise you do, it actually matters a lot. If you go with any of those exercises where you just roll around on the floor for 5 minutes every day, you will never get anywhere. Why, you might ask? It's because when it comes to training abs, you need to follow the exact same style of training as for any other body part, which means that your main goal is to progressively overload and simply get stronger and stronger each time. And that is close to impossible when you are just goofing around on the floor. Sure, it might be challenging for the first couple of times that you do it, but once you get accustomed to it, it will be completely useless. You need to start doing exercises which actually allow you to add weight to them. That way you can get stronger. My top picks would be the machine or the cable crunch. But if you don't have access to these exercises, you can simply do decline sit-ups or regular sit-ups and use weight plates or a filled backpack to make the exercise more challenging over time. Because you can add weight to these exercises, it's important to keep track of the amount of reps and the amount of weight you used. That way you can always beat your performance from last time, which is exactly what will grow your abs. These exercises I just showed you will give you the ability to really build massive abs that you will be able to see even if you are a little fluffier. Of course, I have to keep it real, you are not going to see your abs when you still have a ton of fat on your belly. But the body fat percentage that you will have to reach will not have to be so low in order for you to see your six-pack. But that can only be achieved when you get really strong on the exercises I just showed you. You will never get massive abs just by rolling on the floor every day. If I were to super simplify it, you could imagine it like this. There is a layer of fat on your belly, and your goal is to increase the muscle size of your abs to such an extent that they will be able to kind of push through the fat. Because your abs will be bigger, they will be closer to the surface, which will allow you to see your abs even if you are not completely shredded. Because believe it or not, everyone has a six-pack. The issue is that most people have a big layer of fat over it, and their ab muscles are just super underdeveloped. And that is the combo that will make sure that you will never see your abs. So the main goal of this step is to get your abs bigger. Now let's move to the next step. Step number 2. Lose weight. If you thought that you could get away with being a couch potato, then I'm sorry, that's not possible. If you ever wanna see your six-pack, you need to lose that extra weight you got on your frame. There is no getting around that. Which might seem like a super tall task, but losing weight is actually very simple. The main factor is that you put yourself in a calorie deficit, meaning you consume less calories than your body needs to maintain its current weight, which will result in you getting leaner. You can easily find that number out by going to this website, putting in your details and clicking calculate. This will show you what your maintenance calories are, which you then subtract roughly 300 to 500 calories from, which will put you in that much needed calorie deficit. All that you then need to do is to follow it for a long enough time until you reach your goal. This way, the fat on your belly will start to disappear. And because of the first step, your abs will get bigger. And your goal is basically to work on these factors until they meet in the middle. Then you will have a six-pack. What you really need to pay attention to when you start dieting is that you have enough protein in your diet. And not only enough, I would actually recommend eating slightly more than you need. And that's for one simple reason. Protein is highly satiating, so if you don't want to be hungry all the time, a high protein diet is the key. The recommended amount of protein you should consume is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, but only if you are not super obese. If you really have a lot of weight to lose, you should not use your regular body weight. You need to use your lean body mass instead. This will give you a much more reasonable number. Because if you are like 400 pounds, you would probably go bankrupt from buying this big of an amount of protein each day. Right now, you are for sure wondering how to actually calculate your lean body mass. And that is very simple. Just type lean body mass calculator into Google and use any of the calculators, as they all work the same. What you need to be careful of when you do this is that you don't mix up the units you are calculating in. Always double check if you are using your desired units. Otherwise, you might end up with some really weird results. If you would like to have the whole dieting process laid out step by step in a super simplified way that is easy to follow, you should definitely check out my cutting plan. This plan will take your hand and walk you through all the steps to create your very own meal plan. And don't worry, you won't have to eat just broccoli and rice. It's completely up to you what foods you want to utilize. If you want to check it out, click the first link in the description. Step number 3. Stay active. Putting yourself in a calorie deficit is essential. But to help you lose even more weight, you need to take advantage of doing cardio. Yeah, I can feel your reluctance through the screen. But you have to realize that you don't really need to do anything brutal. If you hate running, then don't run. There is no point in forcing yourself through activities that you absolutely despise, because you will quit sooner or later anyway. And that's not what it's about. Cardio should be something that you can do your entire life, so the activity should be something that you enjoy, otherwise there is no point at all. My best advice is to just walk. This doesn't require any special equipment or special setup. Just go outside and walk for a bit. It might seem an activity like walking will make no difference, because it's not brutal enough. But it's the exact opposite. You can enjoy all the benefits without doing something that you absolutely hate. You will burn extra calories and you will feel much better mentally, and your heart will definitely thank you. So even if you are a complete couch potato, try to walk at least a little bit. You can start super small, it doesn't matter. If you want to walk for just 20 minutes, do it. It's for sure better than doing nothing. And over time it will become a habit, and that should be your main goal. Step number 4. Final adjustments. Once you got the first 3 steps set up, you just need a couple of finishing touches. First of all, you need to make sure that everything that you prepared is sustainable. You might think that this is not important, but it's actually the most important thing of all. If one of those 3 steps you prepared fails, you will not be able to get to your goal of having a six-pack. So while you build these steps, make sure that you can stick to them and not give up after a week. For example, if you set up your weight loss diet in a way that consists of ton of meals that you really don't like, or if the meals are just super complicated to prepare, then it's just a question of time before you snap and the whole diet will go into the bin, together with your dream of a six-pack. Or if you set up some super insane goal of waking up at 4 AM to go on a run, then it will end up in the same exact way. You might feel super motivated to do everything in your power to get that six-pack, but the difference between what you are thinking in your head and the harsh reality is absolutely massive. I know this because in the past I have done similar mistakes that always ended up in a fiasco, because what I set out to do wasn't sustainable for more than 2 weeks. So don't do the same mistake and make these steps that will take you to a six-pack as simple as possible, so that you can do them even if you are really tired from your job or school. Once you achieve that, you will guarantee yourself a six-pack, because it will be impossible for you to fail. Because the difference between someone who reached his goal and someone who didn't was created in those super difficult days where they didn't really feel like doing anything. And the person who kept it simple and sustainable managed to get through those difficult days, while the other person just crashed and burned and remained looking like a chubby ball for the rest of their life. This is all caused by those unrealistic ideas that you get when you watch people get shredded on social media. Everything is presented in a way that seems absolutely perfect, but that is the exact reason why most people fail. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to work. Do you think that those people on social media are really sticking to their perfect routine every day? Of course not, it's just for show. What you need to do is to just follow these basic steps I laid out in this video in the most simplified way that you can. Because if you make it impossible for you to fail, then you are guaranteed to reach your goal. And that is the lesson that you should remember. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Please check out the cutting plan down in the description. Good luck in the gym, and I will see you in the next one. You should click on this video, I think it's pretty good.